Hello everybody, day 13 of shelter, and I must say I'm feeling immensely well rested. It's amazing how you can feel really exhausted the night before, have a good night's rest, and you've got a completely different outlook the next day. So grateful for good night's rest. I hope you all are doing really well out there, maneuvering your worlds in conscious ways and being mindful of how and who you are becoming in this season. So today we are continuing with recognizing patterns, and we've spoken quite a lot about the brain in terms of patterns and neural pathways and our ability to be able to rewire our brains and the importance of that. I've already drawn the brain to save a bit of time, and I'm going to take us through what's really going on for us here. I hope it's clear for you to see. Otherwise, just listen and you'll get it unpacked for you. So remember, everything is coming in the form of stimuli. So we're either hearing it, touching it, smelling it, hearing it, or seeing it, and that is immediately creating a response in our thoughts, in our feelings, and then of course our behavior. And so when the stimuli is coming in, I've now smelt something, it goes immediately to the air traffic controller and it sends a message through to your limbic system, which is known as your emotional boss. Now the emotional boss doesn't work on its own. There's two areas we want you to become aware of, which is the amygdala, which are actually two little almost almond-like shaped peanut sizes that are in your brain, and there's two of them, one on either side. And this is basically controlling your responses. You remember, your brain is designed to protect you. So everything that's happening for you, Amy is diving in, checking out what's going on, and responding appropriately. And remember, for efficiency's sake, she goes back and she responds in ways that she feels are appropriate to you, depending on your areas of experience. So she doesn't do that alone. I've done a little bit of a drop-down menu here for us so that we can unpack it. So the second area that I want you to become aware of is the hippocampus. Now, your hippocampus is like your librarian. So you'll notice that there's a whole bunch of files in the system. And what Amy does is the minute there's a signal sent through to her, she immediately taps in. And remember, it's her job. She's the 911 response center. And she's going to respond with flight, fright, or freeze. Okay, so she's either going to respond by moving forward with hiding, attacking, or running. Okay, those are generally the three spaces she's going to go in terms of some of the patterns. And what she does is she doesn't work alone. She taps into your hippocampus, which is your librarian, with all the files of your entire life's experience, conscious and subconscious. And what she does is she goes through them and she says, okay, so what is it, how is it that I need to be protecting Sharon? Let me look through her filing system to see if there's anything that remotely looks like this. And she goes through it and she says, oops, here it is, file jumps out. Gosh, we need to respond very, very quickly to this. This is an area of pain. It's a trigger situation for Sharon. And we're going to go into attack mode, because this is basically where our defense mechanisms are residing as well. Remember, we defend ourselves pretty much the same way. So you might defend yourself by withdrawal, I might defend myself by attacking, and others might just run from the situation and avoid the conflict completely. So what's really important for us to know about the amygdala is that it's not a fully formed brain. It does not have the capabilities of the prefrontal cortex. The prefrontal cortex is your executive brain, which is actually where the final place of good decision making, maturity, it's also known as your trust lobe, actually resides. So if we just look at the entire system very quickly, it starts with stimuli, goes to the air traffic controller, through to your limbic system. Your limbic system taps into Amy. Amy taps into your experiences, your librarian, and then makes a decision, sends a signal across to the prefrontal cortex, and the executive brain responds on your behalf. However, if there is a trigger situation on this side, and we've been talking about triggers and things, your patterns for a few days now, if you are triggered here by something like rudeness, control, whatever it is for you, what will happen is that Amy will take that experience and automatically go with whatever your pattern is in that certain experience for you. So for me, it would be somebody's rude to me, I get all flared up and don't speak to me like that, and then I go into attack mode, which is not necessarily helpful for me. So what has actually happened then is this process of Amy sending a message through to the prefrontal cortex is actually hijacked. And that is what we call an amygdala hijack, which means that it does not take place. It does not get to the final destination where I can show up mature and managing myself well and being self-regulated and really quite masterful in how I would like to show up in terms of who I am. So here we are, we're stuck here. And the only way that you're going to make sure that you're not triggered by your areas is to become aware of what they are. Now, we're not going to handle that today. Today, I just wanted you to get to grips with what's happening in your headspace. Tomorrow, we will work with what your triggers are and where your blind spots are lying. And that will give us quite a lot to start unpacking where we go to in terms of our responses. So we've also got to remember that with new awareness, which is what we're talking about, we need to know ourselves really well. We need to know where our triggers lie. We need to know what our blind spots are so that we can actually halt this process, be mindful of when I'm smelling that, I don't have to go back to old memories. I can immediately stay in the moment, be really rational and say, yes, I smell you, I feel you, but it's not part of my reality. Thank God for that, and I can move on. And that is almost like your 6-second pause, and that's all you've got. It's a very, very short space of time for you to actually connect with what's going on and be able to make the decision to follow through in a very rational, mature way. So all of this is happening super fast. Remember, I've unpacked it, but I mean, your brain is making 50,000 decisions a day and moving at the speed of light. And that's why those 6 seconds really count. And it's a 6-second pause of how can I respond differently to get a better outcome. And remember, we spoke about our noble goal. So if I'm going to attack, but I'm looking for connection, I'm not going to get that. So that 6-second pause is, what is my noble goal? Intimacy and real quality connection. So that's going to give me enough drive to hold whatever satisfaction it might give me to actually reach out and attack and follow through appropriately. So there's a whole lot of things to take into consideration. I hope that that was helpful for you. And if you've got any questions, I think one thing I haven't mentioned is from our limbic system, we have this limbic there's limbic fluid that's running through our bodies, and there are pockets of memory all over the place. And that is also helping Amy make a lot of decisions. Why? Because there are memory triggers within our bodies. Remember, we spoke about physical symptoms within our body? That is where the memory resides. And we need to become very aware of our memory and where it's showing up for us so that we actually don't use that as part of our unhelpful patterns. So I hope that was helpful, and we'll see you tomorrow. Stay well.